Hey folks, Blackcross here, and today I wanted to do a discussion video. This one regarding Dark Souls 3. Why is it that I'm seeing early gameplay footage, or rather a whole walkthrough of a game that has yet to come out, much less 3 weeks early? And I'm just let me ask that question. Why? Why am I seeing that? And it's not the going to California, London to see the event or whatever, play it 3 hours. That's not what I mean. I mean, there are actual people who has the early English press copy, the physical copy of the actual game that would soon be released. These people actually have it and are now playing it and are releasing it on YouTube as we speak. I mean, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say you're mad. You're mad because someone is uploading videos before you can, and you're not going to get the credit. No, it's not about that. It's about me being jealous of these people because they get to play the game, the full game, first. And that's it. That's my only reason. It's not because of anything else. It's because they're playing it first. It's like, are you taking a shit right in front of me? Like, are you literally doing that? That's what these people are doing. They're taking a shit right in front of everybody else who is being patient enough to wait until the game actually comes out and it's right in the public. Some of us are actually being patient and are trying to avoid all contact just to see it. It's like the Star Wars Episode 7 deal, where people are trying to avoid everybody else around them just to where they can watch the damn movie. Because they didn't have the ability to go and see it at the midnight release. Much like with Dark Souls 3, some of us don't have that ability, much like that credibility, to where Namco can say, hey, you want a copy of Dark Souls 3? Yeah, of course I do. Here you go. And I get why Namco does it. I know why they do that. It is so that way they can release, because they do it intentionally because they're YouTubers. They know they're from YouTube and they know they have a lot of people who watch their content. Therefore, they give them the copy to where they hope that they'll release the video before the actual game comes out, and therefore more people will be funded to where, or more motivated to where they can actually go and purchase the game. I get that. I get why they do that. But I hate it when people release something that technically should not be released until the day of the release date. But instead they release it days, or in this case, weeks, before the game is supposed to come out. Oh boy, am I getting cross or what? It's just, the bad thing is that at first, last year at E3, at first I wasn't that excited. I mean, I was, but not nearly as hyped up as I am now. And I'll give my reasons why, which is why I'm doing a discussion video of it. But I wanted to do my rant first, because I'm kind of ticked off at the fact that I'm not playing it too! It's like these people are already getting a head start! Bad thing is I guarantee you there's going to be a number of people who are already getting a head start on the PvP building, and therefore they're going to kick my ass before I'm able to even conquest an ideal of building. I want to play the game first, I want to experience what it has, And then after I beat the game, then I'll look up information on what all that it has, with all the weapons they have and everything like that. Therefore, I can come up with a brainstorm idea of what to build. That's what I've been doing. That's why in Dark Souls 2, I technically did not really do in terms of quests and stuff. Because technically I didn't know the full details until afterwards. In fact, most of the weapons, most of the armor, most of the stuff that you see in my PvP, I technically don't use until I beat the game, and then I end up using the majority of them all throughout. Because I was interested. Had a brainstorm idea. I got creative, which is what you want! A way for gamers to want to pursue deeper into the game and ba-boom! Replay value, which is a big deal in gaming marketing. It is. So, I mean, it sucks that people are already releasing videos of Dark Souls 3 before the actual game is supposed to come out. That's all I'm saying. I'm kind of ticked. Because I really want to play it. And at first, I wasn't really excited, that excited for it. And there's a reason why. Because I thought it was weird that FromSoftware and Bandai Namco would release a game after Bloodborne. Now, keep this in mind. They had released Bloodborne March 2015, right? A month later, details of DLC was being talked about. Then a month... yeah, it was either May or June. Rumors started to speculate about a possible Dark Souls 3. Then it got confirmed at E3, Dark Souls 3 was being made. And either it was the lead director or it was the president himself stated that he could work on both Bloodborne DLC and Dark Souls 3. You gotta have some pretty big balls to do that. See, I've always thought FromSoftware was a small company. Like one of those side companies that you see in game corporation deals. Like, what's a good example? I'm trying to think of a good one. Square Enix with, what's that other company that does, the Batman games? I can't think of the name all of a sudden. Oh well, I'll be sure to put it in the video once I find out the name, but I have always thought that they were like small companies that help or assist other big companies with their games, which makes sense, you know? I mean, sure, one big company may be able to do it all, but technically there might be some smaller details that they may need help on because of the engine that they're putting it on. So it makes sense. And I've always known FromSoftware to be the smaller company. But then they got more popular with the Soul series, and instead of Bandai Namco getting the credit, it's more towards FromSoftware. If you get my drift. When you think of the Soul series, you don't think of Bandai Namco, you think of immediately FromSoftware. That's what you do. In fact, even with my Let's Play series of 3D Game Heroes, FromSoftware did help make the game, but it was Atlas that basically made it. It was literally Atlas. And it's weird to think that, you know? You wouldn't think FromSoftware would be as big as it is now. But the fact that they said that he was able to make both DLC for Bloodborne as well as Dark Souls 3, that kind of makes me wonder how much work did they do in Dark Souls 3. So I was kind of scared. I was like, ugh, this game isn't going to be as big as Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 1 was. I'm not looking forward to it. It kind of scared me. Because, I mean, Bloodborne was pretty big. It got to a point to where you literally had to have your brain surgically removed to where you were able to see all the pieces and then map them up together, and then your brain would be a clusterfuck just to figure out, oh, this is what Yharnam looks like. And your brain would just go like, I don't know how to breathe. Like, literally, like, you saw my reaction in Bloodborne, you would know automatically how I felt. It was like I was circling around in different places. I was like, oh, I've been here before? And then I was like, I've been here before. And I've been here before. And I've been there before. And it was like a big map. And it's gotten to a point where now, with the software that we got on consoles now, that any particular direction that you want to go, you can virtually get there in any way now. Even Kingdom Hearts 3 is being that way. The maps are going to be even humongous, more humongous than they were before. It's going to be a solid map where there's no loading times, which is great! But then again, just like with Bloodborne, if you die, it creates the load screen, and because it regenerates the entire area, it does take a long time for it to load the area. It's much like Fallout 4. The map is huge, the detail is incredible, and there's a lot of stuff to encompass it. But because of the large amount of data, it takes it a longer time to load it all. So, but despite that, FromSoftware worked on Dark Souls 3, and I was worried that it wasn't going to be as good. Then more trailers got released, and then they had the press release back in California and London, where players were able to play up to 3 hours of gameplay. And I have to say, hearing the reviews of what has been talked about so far about Dark Souls 3, it sounds like they've literally put a lot of thought into this one. Like, a lot of thought. Like, they literally went beyond Dark Souls. And yet they were able to remain the Dark Souls theme, which is incredible. Now, record, Dark Souls, you don't turn hollow, which can be an improvement. I say it can be because it's kind of iffy from what I've heard. In Dark Souls, there are no more hollowed. Everything is pretty much dead. And the world is pretty much dying. Like, literally, it is practically nothing now. But there are beings that are being revived in order to rekindle the flame. And, which is funny, it's like the world saying, you need to rekindle the flame. We're out of people now. I have to bring you back to life. I hate to do it, but there you go. And I think that's an interesting ideal. You're being brought back. Had they actually done like a Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 1 port, where if you have a save data, it'll carry over the data of your character build, not so much your level, but your character build, onto that save data, that would be pretty cool. But then again, because of the new details that they've had for Bloodborne, and it's carried over to Dark Souls 3, I guess many people wouldn't do that option because they would want to rebuild a new character altogether. But I like how it's being set up so far. And from the way it sounds from the reviews themselves, it sounds like it's going to be a lot to learn from. Like, okay, first of all, you're still doing the same pretty much gameplay mechanic. You got your shield and you got your sword and everything like that. But they decided to change something a little bit differently, which increases the replay value, I think, for the majority of the game. Like, all the weapons that you would think you would get, you may end up wanting to get them all just to re-experience all the individual little quirkies. Like, there are some small weapons that you wouldn't think you would use because, hey, I've got a bigger axe. So you throw away the small hand axe. But now, these weapons have another ability, called the skill ability. Basically, there are these skill points that gets built up, which is your blue bar, actually. I did not think that they would do that, because from what I heard, that blue bar was going to be your magic bar, which is reminiscent to that of Demon Souls. But that's also where you use your skill points on. And you're able to use skill abilities. In other words, your weapon skills changes from standard to, I guess, more Bloodborne related. It's not so much a trick weapon, but it feels like it. It kind of does. But that makes it interesting, because that means that there may be some weaker weapons that you may be more fond of because of the skill style that it has in its secondary form, which I like. I like that idea. I like the fact that you can change from your one-handed to a skill form. And I think that's really interesting. I think that's really cool, the way they did that. And there's another attribute that's been added to the Dark Souls level system called luck. Normally, in the Souls universe, the only way you could increase that was, I believe, I may be wrong, and if I am, I do apologize, but I believe it was either equipment load that increased your discovery rate, or it was, I'm wanting to say it was equipment load, but I may be wrong on that one. Your vitality, not your vitality health, your vitality, I'm thinking that's what it was, if I'm not mistaken. That's how you got it to increase. And then you use special rings to increase your luck. But there's an attribute on its own called luck. And apparently there's a lot of armor and a lot of weapon that you can discover by beating enemies. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Apparently there's like a lot more than what was in Dark Souls 2, apparently, from the way it sounds. Which gets me excited, because that means that my fear of not seeing cosplay builds in Dark Souls 3 is no longer an issue. We may very well still see more cosplay builds in the future. Which gets me excited, because I have to say, some of the cosplay builds that I've seen were pretty well executed. Like, very well replicated. Gosh, I cannot speak for life. But, so I mean, I'm really excited for that one. But there was more details onto the game itself. Apparently, from what I've heard, they're already considering the ideal of DLC being made. And not just DLC, a lot more DLCs. Apparently, there's going to be more DLC than what was in Dark Souls 2, which was 3 altogether. Which gets me excited, but at the same time gets me really ticked off, unfortunately. Like, you couldn't put this in the original game to begin with. You had to decide to, oh, let's just save this for DLC. The problem is with DLC is that it tarnishes the value of the game itself. I mean, games have gotten increasingly more pricier since the past, I want to say, 10, 20 years now. Where back then, they were like PS2, for example. Some of us remember how much a PS2 game cost. They costed $49.99. We thought that was expensive. Then we look at the $59.99 price range. That is even more expensive. And when you count taxes on top of it, we're looking at $65 to $70, depending on where you live. That's really expensive. And for gamers, hardcore gamers like myself, that's a price we're not one to actually put into. Not that easily. We're like, I have no money left in my wallet! I need food! Badly! That's what's going on right now for gamers. It's not that easy, so we're usually having to pick from what game we want the most. And it sucks whenever there's like a good year that has a lot of good games coming out, and we have to prioritize what game we want more. It sucks, especially for this year. There's like a lot of games that are going to come out this year that I'm excited for, and I can only get a few of them. Yeah, it sucks, unfortunately for me. But anyway, but there's another thing that I'm really excited for, and I'm really wanting to do it. And if you all are if you use your brain for what it's meant for, to speak English. If you are all for it, after I beat the game once, I'm willing to play through New Game Plus, because I'm going to platinum the game. That's a given. I'm going to platinum Dark Souls 3 eventually. But I'll replay the game again, and then I'll replay it again on a new profile, but this time I'm going to do something interesting. I had heard that because of the skill abilities, people who use bows are going to be more intuited in using actual bow weapons. Which is actually kind of exciting. Like, when I heard that there was like... Okay, you know how in Dark Souls 2 there was like two different types of two different types of bows, even though they're technically 3? Like, you got your regular hunter's bow, then you've got the crossbow, but then you've got the great bow. Now, what's the great bow for? Is for using those giant, humongous arrows that you couldn't normally use on a normal hunter's bow. And then, of course, you got the crossbow, which uses the bolts. And the fact that they've basically said that we may actually see actual archery builds, I'm really excited for. Like, that was something that I really thought could have really worked out. Like, if you could figure out a way to make it to where you were able to build an actual archer, you can make like a Robin Hood replica. That would have been pretty cool. But because they're not really seen as really good, they're more or less used for like actual PvP in actual game. Not so much for PvP competition, but just, you know, being a normal troll and snipe from a distance. That's the only way it would work. But the fact that they said that you will be able to see more archer PvPing, that makes me excited. Like, I would love to actually be able to do an archer build playthrough. That would be interesting to do. Now, in execution, would it work? It would probably be somewhat like the ladle build, where the weapon hardly does shit, even though some people attempt to do that build. Don't know why. I'm still trying to comprehend that, like, a ladle for a weapon. That's actually a saying, apparently. Like, of all the weapons you would think of, a ladle. I don't know, how about a small little kitchen knife? Yeah, just a little tiny little kitchen knife. Yeah, a little butter toast, that son of a bitch. Yeah, that was creative right there, actually. Let's butter toast that bitch. I gotta remember that now. But anyway, I'm really excited for Dark Souls 3. And all the reviews are already piquing my interest. And the one downside is that the game's gonna... It sounds like the game's gonna be shorter, but the world is gonna be massive. Like, apparently there are multiple directions to get to one location. Which makes me happy, because in Bloodborne alone, there were some ways that I could have executed that I didn't realize I could have done. Like, the Forbidden Woods, when we got to the snake area, there was a lot of shortcuts that you could technically take, or you could go straight pathway. Now, the shortcut, you find a lot of items, but then you would find bigger and more deadlier foes. The main pathway wouldn't be so bad, but there's a lot of small enemies, so it makes me kind of wonder, like, are they going to categorize these different routes? Like, this one has a lot of small enemies, but they will overwhelm you. This one has little big enemies, like a small group of big enemies, but they're really powerful. Like, this is going to increase replay value for quite a while. I can definitely see this. So I'm excited, but at the same time I'm kind of wondering, like what all is it that's going to have? Like, what are we going to be expecting? And the lore. I'm kind of interested in how the lore is, because apparently we're revisiting Firelink Shrine. It's a different form, but it's Firelink Shrine, basically. And from what I've heard, now this is a big compliment, I think. From what I've heard, people are saying this is very much reminiscent of I'm about to say it again, Demon Souls. Which gets me really excited, because Demon Souls, when they first showed the trailer and everything like that, I was hyped for it. Like, I wanted to play it so badly. Which I'll get to that detail later on when I start to do the Let's Play of it. And that makes me happy, because that means they're more or less trying to pay homage to the original series that started off this head-inducing series that it is right now. And I'm just wondering, like, is this really going to be the last thing that we see FromSoftware do of the Soul series? Or are we going to see more? Like, I'm really interested. I really want to know, guys. Either from Bandai Namco or even FromSoftware. I don't care which one tells it. But I want to know. Are we going to see more of this type of game? Or is this going to be the last one in, like, who knows when? But if you are going to make another one, what are you going to do? Are you going to try to do a Dark Souls related game? Are you going to do like a Bloodborne? Or are you going to do something completely different? Like, I want to see something that I don't think FromSoftware would do, but I think it'd be cool. Like, I want to see like a futuristic theme, like machines, okay? Now, I know this is stupid and it's completely off topic, but bear with me on this one. Imagine a Souls game, but with actual machines, like a futuristic time where humanity has practically died out and there's nothing but machines, right? I think this could work really well, because machines, the designs could be anything. Like, yeah, monsters, demons, yeah, they can be different, but machines, they can change form in whatever way you can think of, you know? Because we went from, like, a standard robot, strong metal build to bionic build. So it's kind of interesting. It kind of makes you think, like, that could be an ideal. And if FromSoftware is willing to do an ideal like that, I would be interested to see which direction it would go. Like, I really would be interested. But, again, I want to know, FromSoftware, what are you going to do after this? Like, what other Souls game are we going to see? I guess we won't know until they run out of ideals for DLC for Dark Souls 3. Which, from the way it sounds like that could be a while. Which is a good thing, because, if they were to announce that they're going to release another Bloodborne game or something like that, I'd be literally saying to myself, okay guys, how big is your department? I want a tour of it. I want to know how big it is. I did not realize you were this big. But, regardless of that, I just want to give my input and opinions on it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get footage of Dark Souls 3, because technically, it's not mine. There are other YouTubers who are uploading videos left and right, and technically it's gameplay footage that they've recorded themselves, and I just can't do that. I can't. I don't have the ability, nor do I have the credibility to where I can actually do stuff like that. I would love to, but unfortunately I can't. Kinda sucks, but at the same time, what are you gonna do? But I just wanted to do a little quick discussion video for it. And, you know, let me know in the comments below if this is the type of stuff that you like to see, you know, just seeing me talking about a game rather than me having gameplay footage and stuff like that. Because, personally, I don't mind talking about games, and I didn't have that many discussion videos because I had no way of showing it. Except for downloading the video from YouTube and stuff like that. But now I'm thinking to myself, maybe I shouldn't do that. That's not fair for the actual person who makes the content. Plus, ever since the Pokemon Pokéten one, it kind of threw me off. But anyway, though, that's another story for another day. But just let me know in the comments below, if I can speak words. Maybe this is something that you might enjoy, seeing me trying to speak words. I don't know. Just let me know in the comments. Again, I'm fucking up. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see more discussion videos being like this, because I'm kind of interested. I really want to know you guys' opinion. At first, I was seeing a lot of comments. Now, I'm rarely seeing any. So, come on, guys. I want to know input. I want to know if I'm doing good or not. So, I mean, just let me know in the comments below. But anyway, though, I'll see you in the next video. And hopefully, I can wait long enough for Dark Souls 3 to come out before I watch any other content user with their videos. It is not easy. Trust me, it is nearly impossible to wait for. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. This is Black Cross signing off, wishing you a wonderful day, and may God bless you. Take care, guys.